Hello, sweet friend. My name is Micah, and in this video, I would like to chat with you about all my journals and notebooks, do a little mid-year check-in. Of course, it's always fun to talk about journals and notebooks any time of the year, but there was something really natural about doing a little check-in at the mid-year point and see what's working, what's not working, and what maybe needs to change. So, let's dive right in, and maybe we start with the things that are working. One of which is this traveler's notebook, and I am really enjoying both of the inserts that I have in here, and I wish I made more time to work in these. So that is definitely something going forward for the second half of the year where I want to be more intentional about having time for these, because so far they've been a lot of fun and I feel like I've gotten a lot out of these already. So the one insert is what I named my book of comforts, and then the other insert is my artist journal. So this first TN is all about things that I find bring me comfort. And that in and of itself is really comforting, right? If I journal about things that I find comfortable, then that in and of itself is really comfy. But then I think that exploring the things that bring us comfort can tell us so much about ourselves and can help us bring more of those things into our lives. I know that a lot of people talk about getting out of your comfort zone, and that certainly is also a positive thing in certain instances. But how often do we actually take a look around in our comfort zone to figure out what is actually there, and why do we think that those things are there, and are there other ways to incorporate more of those things into our life? So yeah, just something that I want to explore and I find really soothing, fascinating, rewarding to do. My most recent page has been this right here, the flower frame we did in a video together where I unboxed the Banu Pixie fountain pens, and then I put in this quote that I came across by Rainer Maria Rilke, and yeah, I don't know, that quote really spoke to me, so I thought that really matched what I want to journal about in my comfort book. So yeah, that is that. And then in this plastic pouch right here, I just keep some journal prompts that I think I might want to work on in either this journal or the other. Some of these are my own prompts, and then these right here are from Erin Ware's Patreon. She makes incredible journal prompts, by the way, highly recommend. And then, yeah, this one is my artist journal. I am an illustrator, so maybe the more exact term would be my illustrator journal, but that just doesn't quite sound as good. So yeah, in here I journal about things that I find appealing as an illustrator, things that I find inspiring, just, expanding on what I have on my Pinterest board and having a physical representation of that you can flip through and therefore see how it potentially changes over time, or things that you come back to over and over. I think that would be really, really fun, and adds to the sort of Pinterest inspiration board experience if you can flip through it. But then I also, for example, write out things. For example, here this was about what makes an illustration whimsical, so a little bit more topic-based. I'm also exploring and learning more about artists that I find really inspiring. So this is about Tova. Here I researched where anthropomorphism comes from, those kinds of things. So it's not all just visual. It can also be text-based, I guess. So yeah, really, really fun. And again, there's no rush with these. Both of these I feel like are very timeless in a way, but I do wish I had more time for them and that I could work in them more often. But overall, this is working very well. And then similarly, I always say that this TN and this notebook right here are kind of cousins. And that is because in here I have a Hobonichi notebook that is my storytelling research journal, or storytelling commonplace book. So a commonplace book, but only for the topic of storytelling. I find storytelling fascinating as a sort of like, why do we tell stories? What are their cultural implications? But also, how do you tell good stories? Just story craft. And so in here, I copy out helpful things from books that I read and I want to have easy reference to. But then I also copy out, this was just a quote by Tove Jansson, and then I had a little bit of an excerpt of thoughts that I had on this. So just sort of my own thoughts. But then I think here in the back, I also did notes on video essays that I watch, which I find really helpful to really sit down and take notes and not just have them play, halfway in the background and you kind of listen to it and you kind of don't. So just really taking notes and having a place for those notes to live, I've found really helpful. Also for the attention span. And as you can see, some are more decorated than others, but I mean, with Toad and Frog, or Frog and Toad, how can you not? I mean, the illustrations are just so beautiful. So I had to decorate this. And then similar here, this was a video essay on Ghibli movies. And this was a fascinating article. This took me a long time to copy, actually. About diversity plus diverse story forms and themes, not just diverse faces. And copying this was really fun because, again, it just helps with really taking in what is being said, and also it makes it easy to reference, bringing the online stuff into a physical form that you can flip through. I find just really helpful. And this has launched me into this and then this video essay. I'm now going through the Studio Ghibli video catalog. There's a few of their movies that I haven't watched yet. And I'm now researching Japanese storytelling, reading some Japanese novels and stuff like that. Always love when that happens, when you find your natural way into a rabbit hole. Yeah. Anyway, and then as you can maybe tell, or maybe not on camera, I do have this back section tabbed, and this is the section of my notebook that is maybe the most like a classical commonplace book, in the sense that these are all topics that I find really fascinating. And so then you just have sections for each of the topics, and then you collect quotes that go along with the topics. Yeah, really, really fun, and can't wait to see how this grows over the years. So this is, again, something that just is anytime I have time for this, but it's really topic-based. Both of these notebooks are very topic-based, undated. Might take me, a year or years to fill these up, but I'm in no rush and they work the way they are. I will say that this notebook does have a friend, a little companion. I know this has glue residue on it, which is not super, super pretty. This is a sequence notebook. This is working really well for me. This paper is fountain pen friendly, so I can use fountain pens. But what is more important is what I'm using this for. And this is where I actually work on my own stories. So where this contains information, copy text, helpful things, this is the creative play pendant to that. So yeah, that's really cool. And that has been working great. So for example, if I'm working on the plot for my story, I can have this laying open on the pages where I have notes on story structure. And so that goes really well together and I'm enjoying it. I am thinking that these two will have a third notebook joining them as a sketchbook. So yeah, that'll be coming soon, I'm thinking. And then one other notebook that is sort of topic interest based is this Midori A5, which I have made into my ink and fountain pen journal. Really, really fun. So in here, I just keep track of inks and pens. So I started it out by swatching all the samples that I had at that moment, which was already really, really helpful to do, just seeing them all swatched out together like that, and noticing what I have. And then, yeah, I intend to, you know, for example, do pages like this where I just talk about new pens that I get and write out my first impressions, maybe do some doodles, because I do like to use my fountain pens for doodling and drawing, so it's nice to know how they work. But then other pages are just entirely about one ink. Again, more samples that joined my collection. And then this week I tried my hand at mixing fountain pens and then dedicated one page to the final result, which I do think is quite pretty, if I may say so myself. So yeah, this is, again, just gonna be growing with time, and I really like having this space, though, where I can keep track of things. And it's, again, one of those notebooks where it's just gonna be nice to have the book keeping track of the chronology of it all, just how the collection grows, what I learn over time about what pens I like, what inks I like, those kinds of things. I think that's just going to be really fun to flip back through in a couple of years. So yeah, this is super new, but so far working great. Now then, shall we talk about the things that maybe are not working so great? I did an entire video dedicated to my thoughts and my sort of review of the Hobonichi Cousin as a creative journal and memory keeper last week. So if you want to get more information on that, I would recommend you watch that video. But the short version is that though I have overall really enjoyed this journal, and I feel like I've been really consistent this first 6 months with journaling because of the dated pages, I just feel too restricted with the paper this year. And I feel like I'm thinking way too much about, oh, is the paper gonna let me use this ink? Is it gonna let me use this watercolor? Those kinds of things. And I just ultimately decided that I don't want to journal like that. I just don't find that very creative. And then on the flip side, something really positive I'm taking out of this. Whoa, this is stuck together. Taking something really positive out of this notebook is how much I enjoy memory keeping on a weekly spread. Would have never thought that that is something that I would find so fun to do and also very rewarding to see. So yeah, that is probably my journal discovery of the year. So I decided to move out of this, though, now at the half-year mark, and I am going to move into a traveler's notebook. And I'm still keeping it in the dust bag because I'm really babying this. My other traveler's notebook I bought secondhand, so it already had some scratch marks and was dinged up. And ultimately, I don't want to baby my journals, especially if they have a leather cover. I mean, I feel like the leather cover is there to protect what's inside. But yeah, so far I have been babying this a little bit, but it is absolutely stunning. This leather is so gorgeous. And just quickly, what I'm thinking of doing here is we're gonna keep the weekly going because, yes, I decided to go with a undated weekly though because, and I don't know if you can tell with that plastic, the undated one on the side is blank. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the dated one has like all kinds of numbers, like the months or the next couple weeks kind of listed out here. And I felt like that was a little bit more busy, and so I went with this one right here. And then I'm gonna pair that with a blank insert where I can just do daily pages and just creative journaling in general, and just play around and have fun. Not worry about bulk because, again, inserts are just so slim to begin with. That's not an issue. I know I love the Midori paper so much. So yeah, I think that's gonna be great, and I'm hoping that I get that set up soon because July 1st is around the corner. But then something else in terms of dated, undated that I wanted to mention. This is my Hobonichi Weeks, which is my planner. And last year I didn't have a Hobonichi Weeks and I really, really missed it. This year, most weeks are actually blank. And I shouldn't really flip through this because I don't know what's in here, but really, really weird because I like the format, always have liked the format, just absolutely adore this cover. But as pretty as this is, what has been working better is this. This is just a really cheap ring notebook. And I've just found myself writing out to-do lists. And part of me thinks that maybe this is telling me that for next year, I'm gonna set up a bullet journal. Because I do think what I would like with something like this is sort of a front page where I just have, or a couple front pages where I have some of the months already listed out so I can reference where certain dates fall. But yeah, overall, the cheap, ugly thing is working better than the nice, pretty thing. Yeah, sometimes it is like that, isn't it? But yeah, it does make me really sad about the cover. I have, every time I have used a weeks and I've had note pages left over, I have been cutting them out, so potentially I could just gut this and use it as a cover for a Frankenstein notebook. I'll see about that, but yeah. And as you might be able to tell, everything that is working is undated and has some sort of element of freedom in it, an element of flexibility, but then also is more or less topic based, so it's very specific about what I'm journaling about. So those things seem to be working, and then the things that are dated seem to be struggling a little bit. And so I am hoping that all the time that I have been devoting to the dated journal, which is ultimately not working so great, I can now rechannel that time and energy into the undated journals that are working. So overall, that's sort of my conclusion to what's been happening so far this year, and something that I'm taking into consideration for the later half of the year. Because, I mean, I could totally see myself working in this traveler's notebook for a couple months and really, really missing the dated journals, and missing the dated pages because they, I don't know, remind me, hey, journal, check in with yourself, you know. But that is still information. To me, if by the end of the year I'm going, okay, I do want to go back to dated journaling in 2026, that is totally fine. I feel like then I've really figured out what I like, what I don't like, what's working, what's not working by the end of this year. I journal hopped so much and tried out so many different things in 2024, so last year, but I feel like it wasn't really thoughtful or not intentional enough for me to really feel like I've learned anything. And so far, I feel like I've learned quite a few things with the cousin. I'm probably gonna learn something with this setup right here. And so then together, I feel like by the end of the year, I can really feel good about what I've tried and learned about myself and my journaling preferences. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me know how your journal system, your journal setup is going. Are you changing anything now that the half-year mark is here? Are you switching systems? Are you just switching to the second half of the Avec books? Let me know. I love to chat to you about all of those journaling things. Yeah, as always, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I love chatting with you, and I so appreciate you being here and leaving lovely comments. Yeah, just means the world to me. All right, until next time, happy journaling.